Welcome, everybody, to our Week 3 press conference, getting ready for Tennessee. That game will be this Saturday, 7:45 p.m. Eastern from Neyland Stadium down in Knoxville. They'll be seen on the SEC Network as well as the Kent State Radio Network. We've got head coach Kenny Burns here to talk a little bit about the home opener and previewing the ball. So, Coach, just an opening
Yeah,
statement.
obviously watched the film, disappointed in the loss. We didn't play very well. We didn't execute very well. We didn't coach very well. We got to be way better than what we showed on Saturday. But like I told our football team yesterday, we have a lot of football left. We have 10 games left to get better, to change our best, and to really maximize the talent that we have. I still believe we're an extremely talented football team, but we are a youthful team. We're young, and we can't run away from that or hide that. We got three guys starting on the old line that are between freshman and sophomore, and one true freshman at center that learning as they go, and you have to get better every single week. And we've got to coach them to get better as a football team and coaches. So disappointed in the loss. It's unacceptable. But again, there's nothing we can do about it now. All we can do is move forward and change our best and get ourselves ready to play a very, very good Tennessee team and be at full capacity when we do take them on. With that being said, I'll open up for questions.
All right, let's go to our virtual contingent. We'll start with the man on the sidelines, Dane Richardson. Dane, if you don't mute and ask your questions for Coach.
Hey, coach, is there something that you and your coaching staff are talking about to maybe try and get your team off to a better start? Because I know after that St. Francis game, you talked about the start in that game, that being a detriment. So, what are some of the things that you think your team has to do in order to get to that better first quarter start?
I think the thing about it is we went back and sure we looked at it all and how we pregame to the hotel to the wake up, all that stuff. You look at it as a head coach to see why you're starting slow. But we couldn't put our hand on anything that we're necessarily doing that's going to cause them to start slow. I think the bigger thing is making sure our guys have a good grasp on the understanding of what the team we're playing is going to do. They came out and they obviously watched the Pitt game, and they're a team that had been a team that huddled, that did not go up tempo, and then they came out the first drive and they go fast and they go up tempo, and now they're doing things that we weren't prepared for necessarily. So I think it's more looking around corners to find the problem before we step on the field as coaches and putting our guys in the best situation to be successful there. And then offensively, it's real simple. Just we have to execute. We have to simply execute. There were things that were there as you watched the first 20 plays, and you're like, you should be hitting your head on the scoreboard, and it was a guy here, a guy there that was not executing. And that's part of the youth of our football team. When you look at it again, you got a true freshman center, and two sophomore guards who are playing inside. They're going to have their lumps and they're going to have their woes. I still believe you win championships with juniors and seniors, guys who have experience and have played for a while, and that's what we're building this thing for. We're not looking for a quick fix, and I know people are frustrated in the fan base and all that stuff. But for us here as coaches, we're staying the course. We're going to believe in what we believe in. We know the administration is backing what we believe in. They know what we're doing. We went out and recruited a lot of young players. We didn't replace them with transfer kids. We replaced them with other freshmen and young guys, and we got to build those guys up. We got to teach them how to play, how to win, how to warm up, how to take on a game, and how to develop. So we're staying the course, and we're going to do what we do and just find ways to do it better.
And coach, Tennessee has been very, very physical in the run game the first 2 weeks. So, what do you think is the most important part? What your defense has to do in order to slow down the run game of Tennessee this Saturday?
Well, you got to tackle. I think that's where it starts. You got to tackle the ball. You got to get it down. They're going to give up some. They're going to have their success, and we're going to give up some things at times. But make sure you get the play down and try to limit the explosive plays. But I'd argue they're just as good in the pass game. So you're going to rob Peter to pay Paul some way somehow. Their quarterback is extremely talented, very good young player who's playing at a very, very high level right now. I mean, they've scored over 50 points, I believe, in the first two games. So again, I think it's the best defense to me is a really good offense. You got to play complementary football. You've got to keep them off the field, and find ways to hang on to the ball and make sure their offense is on the sideline. But they're a talented group. We got our hands full with them.
And last question I have for you, Coach. How do you expect some of your players to handle this type of environment, right? It's a night game in the SEC. It's a place with over 100,000 fans. I know your team's already played in an NFL stadium this season, but how do you expect your guys, or what are you telling your guys in terms of how to handle this type of night environment in such a huge stadium?
You got to go in there. You got to keep the main thing the main thing. You're in there to play a football game and to win a football game, and you got to be at your best come kickoff. And we'll do some things with practice and the volume of the noise and all that stuff, and being able to execute in that. But it's a great opportunity, and I think that's what our young football team's looking for, an opportunity. And this is one to go redeem yourself off of what happened last week and get back to the basics of what we want to do here as an offense and a defense and a football team. I think our guys are excited that, last night was a hard night for them to watch the tape and get better and see where they dropped the ball. But I think they're also eager to go play and show our true ability. This is still a football team that, when you look at it, we took Pitt, an ACC team that's 2-0 now. We were in that game to the third quarter. So we have ability. It's about maximizing our ability and putting ourselves in situations to be successful moving forward.
Before we go to our radio team, couple questions from the SEC contingent. Power Five teams obviously like to have a niche in how they put stress on their opponent. Tennessee is one of the fastest moving offenses in the country. Just what jumps off the film when they're running it at that pace with that level of tempo?
They're going fast. They're going really, really fast. And the one benefit we've got, we played a team that went fast in Pitt. So we have had experience with it. Now, were they going as fast as this operation? Absolutely not. But they're going fast, and we've got to be able to handle that. And we'll do some things at practice, and I think we're equipped to it a little bit. We'll do some things at practice to set our guys up to be successful. But I think the biggest thing is limiting your calls, what you're doing defensively, and making sure your guys know what to do and are able to execute in the tempo and the pace that they're going at.
And then on the defensive side of the ball, what jumps out is, like you said, the best offense, best defense is a good offense. How are you going to be able to?
Yeah, their D-line is extremely talented. We'll have our hands full there. And, again, that's the way you call us coach. We've got to find ways to put stress on different defenders that we can give them with the RPO game and the run-pass option, and make sure that we find ways to get the ball out quick and then utilize our running back in Kai Thomas and get him downhill. But they're very talented defensive line. There's not very many weaknesses on this defense. I was in the Big Ten for many years, and I know a top 10 team when I see one, and this is a top 10 football team. They're talented. They play well together. They play for each other. And then they play hard. They play really, really hard. And when you put talent and playing hard together, you got a dangerous football team here. So we've got to be at our best for sure, and then we got to find ways to move the ball offensively and then limit their explosive plays as a defense.
Let's turn it back over to our radio crew and play-by-play man Rob Polinsky. Rob, you done your questions for Coach?
Yeah, thank you. Coach, after that slow start, it seemed like you got some momentum towards the end of the first half. What happened at the start of the third quarter that St. Francis got that back from you, and how surprising was that to you after it looked like, you had weathered a slow start, but to me it looked like you had a chance to get it turned around, and it didn't happen.
Yeah, we had plenty of chances to get it turned around, and that was my hope a little bit for a football team, because I think that people think that winning just happens. I think that players think that people are just going to lay over and give you a game and say, here you go. And it doesn't work that way. You have to take games. And there's some times where you're going to start slow and you're going to be in a battle. No matter if it's St. Francis or if it's Pitt, you're going to be in a ball game. You've got to come out swinging and find a way to win and close the game. We didn't do that as a team. I thought our defense played well in the second half, and they gave up 3 points and limited the explosive plays and got the ball back to our offense. But then I think our offense didn't execute at a high level in the third and fourth quarter to put it away and to get us back in the game. So we've got to learn as a football team how to take a game when we're in a fight. And that was a fight on Saturday, and we didn't take the game. And that's the biggest thing that's the hardest thing for a young football team to understand. And I can't really explain it. I've been doing this long enough to just know that's when everything flips. When you learn how to take a football game that you didn't play necessarily well in. And we talk about winning when it's hard. And Saturday it was hard. And you've got to find a way to win when it's hard and not question your confidence and not question your ability. And I think in that moment, in that game, we had guys questioning their ability and second guessing themselves instead of just doing what they do in playing football. But it's great for them to see it. And again, we're building this for the long haul. We're a young football team. It's great for them to see it. And I love the way they responded at practice yesterday. They were flying around. Again, they know their ability. It's about doing it when it's hard and doing it consistently. And again, that's what we're learning as a football team. But I definitely agree with you. There was moments we could have took that game over and won it. We had the ball inside the 4-yard line. We're we get a tip ball. And, if we hand the ball off there, Kai Thomas probably walks in. It was an RPO read, and we pulled the ball and threw it, and it got tipped and it got intercepted. But you get that score there. It's a one possession game, a 2-point game, and with 9 minutes left to go, and your defense is playing really, really well. So you like your chances. But shoulda, coulda, wouldas are things that fans do on Sunday and Monday. As a coach, you got to learn from it and move forward. Again, this is one football game. It does not define us. We still have a lot of football in front of us in a league that is very competitive, and I think we've got a roster to compete in. So it starts this week with getting better against Tennessee and finding a way to be at our best, and then learning and moving from that one as well.
Coach, just wondering, it seemed to me that, up front, both on the offensive and defensive lines, especially early in the game, St. Francis, did pretty well. Did you see it that way? How surprising is that to you? I know you've talked in the offseason about the new strength coach and, bigger, stronger, faster, but that didn't seem to happen on Saturday.
Yeah, I would probably disagree with the defensive side of it. I know they had a couple quarterback scrambles that led to big runs. The ball popped out twice on us on defense, and it was more a misfit than anything to do physically. A lot of times people are going to see things where the ball pops out and they're going to think that, we got beat up front. That's not necessarily the case. We were in our gaps, and one guy wasn't in his gap, and the ball squirted out. I think that was the bigger problem in some of these things. And then we every day we use the tackling circuit. We do it every day to start practice, and we didn't utilize it great in the first half of the game. Guys were lunging and not taking the proper tackle technique, and we got to be better at that. We got to be way better than that. But I don't think they manhandled us defensively up front at all. I do think our defensive line played solid. I thought our rush-ins did a really, really good job between Harm, Stephen Daly, and Cam Olds. I think what happened was they showed a couple of plays that we didn't see, and we had our backers and safeties misfitted a little bit. We got to coach it better, and we got to play it better. We got rules and principles to our defense, and if you didn't see a play on film because they hadn't ran it, there's still rules and principles of the defense that our linebackers and safeties have got to execute that we didn't execute, and we got to coach it better, like I said, and we got to play better. But I don't think it was that way on defense. Now, on offense, on the other hand, I thought they moved the front a lot. They did a really good job on defense. I give them a ton of credit. They moved the front a lot. They confused our young goal line a couple times with the looks, which got us playing timid up front a little bit. But, we've got to play better there. I think that is very clear. We've got to play better at the offensive line position. We've got to get our confidence back. I still think we're a physical team. I think we can be a physical team, I should say. I don't know if we've demonstrated that quite yet. But we got to get our confidence back. We got to get our swagger back. We got to simplify the game plan, in my opinion, a little bit, so these guys can fly off the ball and get vertical movement. But I still got faith in our offensive line, and I think the world of Coach Limegrover. I know he's been around the block a long time, and he's got to stay the course and trust himself with how he's training these guys to become. But again, there's no quick fix to youth, and I do believe you look at the numbers, we are a stronger football team. Our strength coach did a great job this offseason. But again, you can't make a freshman a senior tomorrow. You can't do that. Tank Williams has been in the program since the summer. He hasn't been here very long. He needs years of development and growth in the weight room. Chris Farrell, starting right guard, has had a year in our strength program. He is bigger and stronger than he was before, but he's not a senior. He's not what he's going to be when he's a senior. So there's still development that has to happen in our program, and we're getting closer to it. But are we there? Absolutely not.
Thanks, Coach. My last one. Can you just speak to the overall challenge, of this week? I know you've talked a little bit about what they can do, but can you just speak to the overall challenge that you're facing on Saturday?
Well, you're facing talent. You got a talented football team that plays hard. I think whenever you have that, you got issues that you got to figure out how to put stress on them and slow them down a little bit. On defense, you got to slow them down so they're not just playing with, off their heels and firing back on you with maybe different movements and motions and shifts to try to create confusion. And then offensively, you got to be methodical. They're not going to give you plays down the field. So how do you stay on schedule in the run game and get 4 yards a carry? Stay around there, and then be methodical in your pass game to take high percentage throws with your quick game and stuff like that to get the ball at the quarterback's hands. I think that they're gonna do a good job. I'd be shocked if they don't come up and play some cover one and press our receivers up and make it a little bit crazy for them. So I think we got to get creative with how we're getting those guys open and doing some stuff. But that's what I would do against us. I'd press the receivers up and add an extra head to the box. And I don't think that's really hard to figure out. So I don't mind saying that. And our coaches have got to find a good way to take advantage of it, because there are ways you can take advantage of that when teams are doing that to you. But I think it's about protecting the ball, protecting the ball on offense, getting it on defense, tackling on defense, and breaking tackles on offense, and finding ways to limit their explosive plays on offense, and then finding ways to create some for us is the recipe to this game to give us a shot. And I think the thing about this is living in the moment, playing the next play, don't get ahead of yourself, and seeing if you can give yourself a shot in the fourth quarter.
Thank you.
Last and certainly not least, we flip it over to the other man in the booth, and Tom Evans. Tom, you don't need to ask your questions for Coach.
Right. Hey, Coach, it looked like there was a change on the offensive line in the second half. Was that injury related, or is Coach Limegrover kind of still trying to feel out a rotation in there?
I think he's still trying to fill out the rotation a little bit. I think we all see that Tank Williams has a ton of ability. He's a true freshman. He's playing for a reason. We see the bright spot of that. I think that between Dusty and Chris Farrell and Tony George, the separation isn't much. So I think we're attempting to find a rhythm up front a little bit. And I think that's a little bit something we talked about yesterday is how do we get there quicker than later. But we challenge those guys to play better on yesterday and to play more united as one. But again, up front, when you watch the tape, I probably after the game was really disappointed in our offensive line, their performance. When you watch the tape, it's so correctable. It's just execution things. I know we want to say it's physical, but it's not that physical at times. It's a guy with his eyes in the wrong place. Then he's late because a guy's blitzing in his gap. It's a movement up front where we don't pass it off and the guy's in the backfield. And now they're kind of moving their eyes and freaking out a little bit. So it's things that we've got to do a better job of coaching it. But then also they got to do a better job of not panicking when they see it. And that's the things that we were talking to our offensive line about this week. Okay, we're going to show you more pictures, things that you might have not even seen on tape yet to prepare you for it because we've struggled with it, with movements. And then, okay, when they do move, how do I get my eyes in the right spot and not panic? And I think we, especially talking about Tank Williams, our starting center, I think he saw a lot of different looks this week that he wasn't maybe ready for. He was sick on Wednesday, so he missed our Wednesday practice. We tried to catch him up on Thursday and Friday, but again, it's the pressure of the situation maybe got to him a little bit, and a couple of our other linemen. And we got to find ways to create experiences for them to use those reps and be prepared as they go into this week's game.
Coach, it certainly appears that Devin's got a connection with Luke and kind of the go-to guy, and we know that those first two opponents are kind of taking Krishan away. Is there any way? Are you trying to manufacture some ways to get some of these young wideouts? It looks like there's some talent there just to get them a little bit more involved in the game.
Yeah, it's crazy you say that. You look at Luke. Luke's playing really well. Well, what is Luke? Luke's a fifth-year senior. He's had a lot of leather skin. He's played a lot of football. He's playing really clean. He knows his reads. He knows his adjustments. He's played a lot of football, and I think that's a little bit of a credit to success. He hasn't not seen a lot of things, so you can throw a different coverage at Luke. Luke can use his toolbox to figure out the answer to it. I even think with Krishan, who's still a young player, he's only a sophomore. I still think there's things that he's learning about how to play receiver as he goes through this whole thing. So we've got some young receivers. I think you see the talent there with Deshaun Martin and J.J. Etheridge who can play more. We're going to get those guys involved more as we keep going. But we've recruited well. We've got young talent all over the place. And I know people want answers right now, and they want us to figure this thing out. And they're out there mocking what we're doing and our culture and what we're building in the house in our four walls. We can care less. We know we got talent. We know we got ability, and we know the ability needs time to grow and develop. And that's what you're seeing, I think, more and more at the receiver position. But I think you're seeing our experienced player on offense, who's got a lot of reps, being able to take advantage of things on defense, where I think some of the other guys are still learning as they go. And again, they're going to put it together, but again, it's a process. And again, I took this job over knowing it was a process. And when you know it's a process, you got to stay the course and stick to the plan from an administration standpoint, which 110% back what we're doing, and from a head coach and coaching standpoint. And that's what we're going to do.
Thanks, Coach.
And Dane, you have your hand raised. You want to hop back in with one more question?
Yeah, Coach. Obviously, I know you guys are focused on your specific situation, but this past weekend, we did see a MAC team in Northern Illinois go on the road and knock off a top 5 team. Is that something possibly you mentioned to your guys, saying that, hey, we just saw another team from our conference go into a top 5 place and win, that we can do this too?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't necessarily talk about it in that facet, but I talked about cultural sustainability. Northern Illinois has been through a lot. Nobody talks about Thomas in his 2020 season going 0-6, and not winning a game. and then struggling at the beginning, but people staying with him and his culture and letting him build his culture the right way has led now to him beating Notre Dame and having a really, really talented football team that's in the top 25 in the country. And I told our guys, when you stay the course, and we talked about tough times create tough people, and like we're going through some tough times right now, and it's going to be leather skin for us down the road. And I don't know if it'll happen Saturday. Sure, we'll be at our best. We'll attempt to be at our best and try to pull off an upset. But eventually, this culture will shine. And it takes time. It takes consistency. It takes sticking the course. And Thomas is a friend of mine, and I know the job he's done there has been phenomenal. But he stuck the course and believed in what he believed in, and we got to do the same thing here. And that's the bigger message to our guys. That's the same team, guys, that you took to the wire last year in the last game of the season, the NIU team. And now they're back, they're better, a year better, and now they're doing something that was unthinkable to the people outside their four walls that they knew they could do if they were at their best. And credit to him and his coaching staff. They got a really, really good football team, and I'm excited for him. And it does give hope to our team that if we stay the course, we could be a talented team that competes for something like that, someday.
Thanks, Coach.
Guys, if there aren't any more questions, we'll Coach depart. Coach, any final thoughts as we prepare for Saturday?
Is there one more? Is that it? Oh, okay. No, again, really excited about our opportunity that we have this week to respond the right way. Still love this football team and what they're doing and what they're about. The guys came back to work yesterday, and I told them, I said, we don't care what the outside world's saying right now. We're going to go back to the grind and build this thing the right way. And hopefully you can see that on Saturday. But throughout the year, we'll grow and get better. And I'm asking that you stay the course with us. So go Flashes and Kent Grit. Thank you.